Friends in High Places and Horse Surgery. That is episode 5 of this season's The Connors. Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, Dan here with Dan Reviews It, and yes, we are getting through this season of The Connors together, season 3, and we're up to episode number 5, Friends in High Places and Horse Surgery. And usually I get these videos up within a few hours of the episode airing, but yesterday was my birthday, so I didn't actually end up watching the episode until earlier today, so I do apologize. With Thanksgiving and everything, I don't think anyone is rushing out to make sure I'm getting my Connors videos up, but just wanted to let you guys know why it wasn't up with some immediacy, like usual. So tonight we had two different topics in the episode title. Usually there's been 3 the last few weeks, and that is about right, because there's really only 2 things in this episode. There's like a very mild sea story that's more played for some laughs. Mark is doing a project about the American Revolution and trying to find out what certain family members in the lineage did in the American Revolution, if anything. And we find out that, of course, they were traitors and bad people, and so that's all kind of played for laughs. But really, it's just a couple of mentions for joke purposes. I would not call that really, even calling it a C story is generous. So really, there's an A and a B here. So let's talk about the B story first. Actually, Horse Surgery, because that leads into or leads in from, I should say, something that happened last week, which is Louise's younger brother, Neville, played by Nat Faxon, and younger by a good bit, 15 years younger, has a crush on Jackie, and he's a veterinarian, so he was coming over to check on the chickens at the Connor household, and kind of revealed a crush that he had on Jackie, so she agrees to go out with him, but decides, to kind of unload her baggage and tells Louise, look, don't worry, I'm not going to really be dating your brother. I'll scare him off. But that does not work. And so at the beginning scene with Jackie in this episode, she tells the family, hey, look, I think I finally did it. I told him everything about my past, all my baggage, all my everything. So he probably won't be coming around much anymore. And then, he did indeed. And it was to bring her a stuffed giraffe animal, because she told him a story about how her mother took away her stuffed giraffe when she was a kid, and it was a big deal. And so this actually really backfires for Neville, and not only is she not really that appreciative for the gift, but she ends up kind of screaming at him for this other tragedy that took place regarding the giraffe and her dog that used to be in a cart, and he got hit by a car because of the giraffe, and so it brought up all these memories, and so she screams at him and storms out. Now, I'm not sure if that dog story is something that actually happened, or if she's making that up to push him further away, but she did get pretty actually mad and emotional about it, so I tend to believe that it probably is something that happened to the Jackie character. But one thing I thought was odd was that when she stormed out, there was a small smattering of laughter from the studio audience, but I don't actually think they're filming right now before a live audience. Like SNL is doing like a half audience kind of thing, but they don't say it anymore at the beginning of these episodes. The Connors is filmed before a live studio audience. So I don't think there's any audience there, which means the producers put in that little bit of laughter at the end of that scene, which I did not think was at all played for laughs. Like, it seemed, I mean, yes, maybe she stormed out like a little girl throwing a tantrum might. So maybe that was, because it was over the top, but I don't know. I mean, that was, I don't think played for laughs. So I found it odd that the producers would choose with the laugh track to pepper in a couple of small laughs at that moment. But anyway, she goes to visit Neville. Well, actually, first Louise comes to visit Jackie at the lunchbox and says, look, my brother had all these, leg problems when he was a kid. He had some bone issues, and doctors when he was born said he might never walk. Da 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 da. So he, made himself become, a member of the track team and all this. He wasn't very good, but he did it. And she was like, that's how tenacious he is. He will never stop pursuing you. So you gotta, really kind of make something up. Tell him you're a lesbian. Tell him you found somebody else. Whatever. But if you don't, he's still going to keep pursuing you. So Jackie goes to visit him the next day, where he is performing some horse surgery, and she ends up helping him with it. So that's the horse surgery part of the title. And tells him, gives him the whole rundown. I'm dying, I'm a lesbian, this, that, and the other thing. So they agree, though, at the end of the day, that, look, she's never going to fall for him, give up, but we can be friends. I would love to have you as a friend in my life, da 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 da. And he kind of says, well, that's fine, but can I still secretly, have my eyes on you and, want to be with you romantically or whatever? And she said, hey, what you do in your free time is your business. So, played for some laughs. But I really hope that this Neville character sticks around. I like Nat Fax, and I talked about this last week in the video, but the Neville character I like as well. And I would really love to see Jackie in a long-term relationship. I mean, it's been a while since she's had one. I mean, maybe there was a couple, in the 20 years that the show was not on the air. But I mean, the last one we really knew about, because the Matthew Broderick one only lasted a few episodes. I don't know if that was Connor season 1, or that may have even been season 10 of Roseanne. But either way, that only lasted, a little bit. Fred was probably the last really long-term one that she had. And, we don't really know if Fred even really existed, because her son Andy seems to have vanished, and he does not exist anymore. So, was Fred real? We don't know. So, I don't know if that even was a long-term relationship. But anyway, she's probably had some in the 20 years that the show was off the air, but we don't know. So I would love to see Jackie kind of settle down with somebody. And look, she's got the whole younger guy thing in her past, because some of the guys she dated, back on the original Roseanne show, were certainly younger. Fisher was a lot younger, and I think Booker, the George Clooney character, was even younger as well. So, I don't know. We'll see where that goes, but I would like to see that plot line continue. So over on the other side of things, the other big story, the A story, really, that was, I would say, the B story, Friends in High Places, which is about Darlene wanting a promotion at Wellman Plastics, become a manager of sorts there, and, make a little money, get, maybe a different type of career, instead of being on the line or being a writer, maybe, management is more where she belongs. Now, when I first saw the episode title, I was thinking it might be a drug reference, because next week is called Protest Drug Test, and One Leaves the Nest. So, drug test is right there in the title. So, I kind of thought Friends in High Places had to do with that, but maybe, I don't know, maybe Darlene gets a manager job and has to take a drug test. I don't know. So we'll see, I guess, next week about that one. But no, it has to do with her wanting a management position at Wellman, which causes a ton of friction between her and Becky, because Becky, is a decent worker, I guess. We saw her, really cover a lot of ground as a waitress at Louise's restaurant in, the first couple seasons. But now, she's taking too many breaks to FaceTime with her baby, and I assume Emilio, I think Emilio's the one watching her during the day. But yeah, the higher-ups at Wellman do not really cotton to that, and specifically one higher-up, I think her name was Robin, played by Alexandra Billings, who I know mostly from Transparent, but she's done a lot of things. She's a transgender actress, and here, she's played trans characters in the past, including on Transparent, but as far as I know, she's not playing a trans character here. She's just playing a female character. But anyway, she is one of the higher ups at Wellman, and Darlene sits down to lunch with her, and decides to invite her over to dinner, she's, very blunt about it and saying, look, I really want to talk to you about, management. And Robin says, okay, well, I can mentor you, and we can, kind of go from there. So she has her over to the house. However, there comes a little bit of a problem where it turns out she's the one who's really been riding Becky's butt at work and has written her up a couple of times and this and that and the other thing. So this starts a big fight between Darlene and Becky because, she feels like Darlene is choosing sides, management over her own family and this and that and the other thing. And Darlene's like, well, be a better worker and maybe I won't have to, make these decisions. Basically, Robin was not going to decide herself. She put it in Darlene's hands and said, look, you can't play favorites if you're going to be a manager. I know you're coming to me asking to go easy on Becky, but I'm telling you, I'm going to leave this in your hands as sort of a test to see what kind of manager you might be. Which I kind of figured. I mean, it seemed kind of obvious that that's what she was going to do. And to me, I think it was... I think it was a little much of Becky to ask Darlene to do that, because here's the thing. I mean, a bigger paycheck for one member of that family means success for everybody in the family, because then, we're spreading it around a little more. Maybe Darlene then can pay Dan more in rent, which would be a little easier on Becky, and maybe she wouldn't have to pay as much rent. So, I don't necessarily like the dynamic of this episode between Darlene and Becky. And I understand this is, they're not having Thanksgiving in the show, but, last Thanksgiving was the great, fight between some of the family members, and Aunt Jackie slaps Darlene, and it was very crazy, and I gave it an A+. It's the only episode of The Connors or season 10 of Roseanne that I've given an A+ to. I'm pretty sure. So, that was a big deal. So this year, okay, it's not specifically a Thanksgiving episode, but it aired the night before Thanksgiving. So same time frame. Obviously, they're still in November sweeps trying to get the big ratings. So they have Darlene and Becky have this huge fight. Personally, I don't know. I mean, look, I've always been a Darlene person, but I feel like I do side with Darlene on this one too. I think Becky should not have really asked her to go to Robin, and as she's trying to become a manager, beg for favoritism for her sister. Right away I thought, well, that's a bad idea. Like, Robin's not gonna like that. Like, that's not gonna go very well. And sure enough, it really didn't. And Darlene also doesn't fully explain to Becky what happened. Like, she ends up saying, like, look, I'm the one who did this, Robin put me in charge of it, da 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 da. But she could have said, look, I went to Robin and asked her, to go easy on you, because Becky comes in, like a bat out of hell. Oh, you didn't ask Robin anything, da 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 da. I think Darlene could have explained herself a little bit better to Becky, but look, truth be told, I do understand where she's coming from, and Becky's anger stems from the fact that, yes, okay, I take these breaks to talk to my daughter, but, that's number one. But number two, I work my butt off when I am on the clock and not talking to my daughter, and you know that, so how dare you, da 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 da. And then she throws it in Darlene's face about not being able to have a baby, which we learned about in the last episode, but they sort of refreshed our memory in the opening scene with Darlene, Becky, and Harris sort of, jabbing at each other about Darlene, being premenopausal. So, boy, I didn't like that part, and honestly, I don't know how I felt about the Jackie stuff. I don't know why she's just not gonna try with Neville. He seems like a nice guy. I know that Jackie feels like she's, poison and man repellent and all of this, and that everything she touches, romance-wise goes to hell. I get that, but I don't know. Maybe if everything you've done, is a bad idea or didn't turn out well, maybe you change it up a little bit and maybe do the opposite of your instinct. So maybe you do try going out with Neville. So I don't know. Both of these plots sort of left me a little bit cold. I didn't really like how any of them went. Obviously, Becky and Darlene's fight will be, moving forward here and going on to the next episode, because that was certainly not resolved. The big fight came pretty much the last scene of the episode before the tag scene with Mark. And I don't know. I really think Becky is certainly, I think, more in the wrong. But I feel like Darlene maybe is also being a little cold, not explaining herself properly. But look, in my mind, like I said, if one of them is successful, then the whole family, grows as a result of that and becomes a little more successful. So I think Becky should want Darlene, to move up in the ranks. And, then she would have somebody on her side. Obviously, this decision didn't necessarily reflect that, but that's because Robin is currently testing her. Like, once Darlene's actually in the position, maybe she can look out for Becky a little more. But she didn't explain any of that, So I didn't really like that. Overall, this is, to me, the worst episode so far this season. I've given everything kind of in that B range. I think the first 3 were Bs, and then last episode I really liked. That was like an A minus. And I really like this gal that's playing Robin, Alexandra Billings. I would love to see her become a little bit of a recurring character. And I do like that they're doing more stuff at Wellman. I think, that really harkens back to the very first season of Roseanne, when Roseanne and Jackie and Crystal and Anne Marie all worked at Wellman. I think that's awesome that they've brought that back. I want to see more of that. So I liked that aspect of it. But as an episode on the whole, I think characters were making decisions that I can't go for. I don't quite understand them. And then once again, we didn't see DJ or Mary in this episode, but once again, where are they? Like, is Mary living with them at this point? Like, is she not? They never quite resolved that either from way back in the Halloween episode weeks ago. So, and if they did, we don't really see Mary. We saw her briefly last week at the table, but DJ was there, and the whole point was she was going to come over to the Connors house after school, to have somewhere to be. Or maybe she's homeschooled, or with the Zoom right now with COVID, I forget. But point being, like, I don't know. Like, that was an interesting thread that they could have pulled out a bit more, I think. But we don't really know what happened. So I don't know what's going on there. So this episode just felt like a little bit of a mess, to be honest, and I didn't really agree with a lot of what the characters were doing. So I can't grade this one too high. I don't think it was horrible. I mean, I certainly laughed a few times, but and I like that we're introducing the Robin character. I like her. Hopefully she'll be recurring and add something to it. But other than that, I don't know. I mean, John Goodman was barely in it as Dan. He was there sort of to make a side comment to Louise every once in a while, but he had nothing going on, which is fine. Like, I don't need every character to have a plot every single episode, but this just was not doing it for me. I'm going to leave this episode with a C+. I teetered even on a C. It did not hit me in the right way. I think some of the storylines they've started in this episode and the last one are going to be interesting to explore, hopefully for a few episodes or maybe the rest of the season. But I don't know. It just was not quite doing it for me. So maybe a C+ is generous. I don't know. But I think that's where I will leave it for this week. So that's it. We do have a new Connors episode next week, like I already mentioned. So I'll be back next week, and I think probably on Wednesday night, like usual, like we usually get the reviews up. But in the meantime, hope everybody's having a great Thanksgiving, and we'll see y'all next time.